All right, StockPulse on location at the second annual StockPulse Silver Symposium, this year in Airway Heights, just outside of Spokane. I've got with me David Morgan from the Morgan Report. Many, many years have we been talking, David, about silver here, and here we are again, another year, and prices aren't looking good. A lot of depressed people here, but I think you're going to give us a little insight on where we're going here. So, David, appreciate you taking the time.
Well, first of all, Rob, let me give you a compliment for having the guts to put this on last year. You know, I mean, silver's certainly had its ups and downs and sideways. And you said, hey, you know, we really want to do this, and you did it. And it's not easy. I know. The reason I know is I've done a couple very small venues, and they're not easy. I mean, it takes a lot of work. So thank you.
Appreciate that.
I appreciate it. The community appreciates it. Now, on to our favorite topic, silver. I just finished listening to most of Jeff Clark's presentation, and it was very interesting because, you know, I coined the expression that silver will wear you out or scare you out, meaning that it'll just go sideways or maybe slide sideways and slightly down for so long it just wears you out. I hate silver. I wish I never ever heard the word. You know,
is there a David Morgan voodoo doll out there?
David, let's put pins in the voodoo doll. I mean, all that stuff. And what he was showing was time and time again how it just goes sideways and everyone's giving up, and all of a sudden it jumps up 60%. It jumps up 100%. It jumps up 170%. And he went through all these instances where it's done that. And you can't argue a fact. And it was funny is I think, God, I want to get up on stage and I want to show people how to trade that, because it goes sideways. It's called a channel formation. And what you do is if it breaks up through it to the north, you go long. And if it breaks down through the channel south, you go short. Not that I've ever shorted silver, but so he went through this whole thing and he said that we're at the cusp of going up again. And the average move up on those dull, wearing you out moves were 150%. And then he showed something that I wasn't aware of. I don't know everything about silver. I never said I did. And a couple of the analysts from Bank of America thought it would be, I think it was Bank of America. Bank of America was on the list. Whether this was their numbers, I don't recall. But $35 this year, $50 next year. And some of these more well-known, established type of banks were actually forecasting pretty high silver. And one that he spent some time on, and I can't pronounce his German name, ran the largest resource fund in the world. And you're going to like this, and our viewers are going to like this, and it's the truth. Predicted $500 silver this decade. Okay? So, you know what? We're putting a parade for you down Airway Heights in a couple more years. You never know. Silver is, it could drive you nuts. It drives me nuts. I mean, I've been in for so long. I've been in and out. I mean, for that 20-year gap, I didn't do much in the silver market, meaning from, you know, my birthday, 1980, to 2000, those 20 years, I wasn't like a silver nut. I might have bought some. But once I saw that all-time low, inflation adjusted, what Buffett bought, that's when I started the silver investor. And boy, we had a great 10 years. And we've had a pretty dull, you know, 10 years, you know. I mean, and a start. I mean, I just finished my update for the Morgan Report. And I was so convinced, Rob, in 2016 we were back on track. I mean, we bought First Majestic as a trade. I don't want to lie, I think I got $3 and we got like 700% on it. And I called the top. I've been pretty good at calling tops. And that's it. I knew it was going to consolidate. That's why I sold it, because it's going to come down. I could buy it back better, right? Kept going down and down. And then, you know, at some point, that's the normal consolidation, which is how it started out. And then I had to throw in a towel and say I'm wrong, and it wasn't the start of the new bull market. But never say never. I don't have much else to say. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, please.
What in the world got in your head to say I want to do a silver symposium?
I think having you as a good friend was it. I think we're in the heart of a bunch of silver here in the Coeur d'Alene Silver District, and a lot of history. And I don't think I was going to accept the fact that there was not going to be a show around here to talk about it. My personal belief in silver, I love it. It's an industrial metal. It's I think that's the first thing you do when you get burned is you put silver on you. It's got some medicinal properties, and I've even heard Jeff Christian say it's not money, but it's a financial instrument. So when Jeff Christian says that, then I think that I have to do that. So yeah, I'm more filling a void, but I think I'm with you. I'm very bullish, and I guess we can kind of bring back to the macro here. I mean, I think the conditions are setting up for silver to probably do very well. I count on experts like you to really, call out a time frame, but I'm reading the tea leaves here, and to me, and I like gold too, but we're in Coeur d'Alene,
right.
and there's a lot of silver here, so maybe a long-winded answer, but that was it. So
well, let's go down the rabbit hole. You know me, I'm not afraid to do that.
Yeah.
Put on my my diving mask and my
tinfoil
snorkel.
hats anywhere around here?
But there are instances in monetary history, and I think we're approaching one, where things really go upside down. I mean, it's like turning the table over on the money changers in the temple. Yep. I mean, it's that bad as a metaphor. And I think that's what we're approaching. And in those instances, I think I summed it up best in the 10 rules of silver investing. Rule number 1, in the unlikely event of an all-out financial collapse, silver will be the money of last resort, not gold. Silver will be used for everyday transactions for gas and groceries, and gold will be used on large settlements. And I'm not predicting an all-out financial collapse. I don't think there's such a thing, because all the wealth stays in place. All the roads stay there, all the gasoline, the wheat fields are all there. It doesn't like they disappear.
It's a giant consolidation.
But it's a huge rearrangement in the economy, and pricing changes. It's like, well, I've got gold, but I need to eat, so all of a sudden, gold's used as the means of exchange because no one wants to accept the paper. Or, so my point is this. I think we're one of those inflection points that only happens several hundred years. It's not this currency change that happens about every 50 years, which is like a subset of these macro 400-year type of things. I think we're approaching that. And then that means, if I'm right, it means that you almost require having some precious metals exposure.
Yeah. So, I guess, inflation. I think the number one topic of it is how do you actually beat this? I heard this from an attendee. It's all great, but what's the solution? And everyone's solution is different. 20% holding of bullion. Well, no, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't play one on TV. My number's a lot higher than that of how I would treat it. I've heard you talk for over a decade about the death of the dollar, and I've seen nothing to change my mind except that you're dead right. But what I can't figure out is how it has so much longevity still. And is that why we're not running away here, is because we've just underestimated all the bags in their trick to keep the dollar alive? Or is that day coming to an end here real quick?
Well, definitely underestimated. I mean, first of all, you go back from my career of being a financial writer for so many years now. And I was kind of convinced in myself that we're getting near the end. I don't know, 10 years ago or so. And I quickly changed my mind. In fact, I don't think I even put it in writing, but I was thinking about it. I realized, wait a minute. We just brought China on board. This party's going to keep going, baby. And so I realized that early enough to not make myself look like a fool. And I said, God, I don't know how long it's going to go, but you could probably bank on at least 10 more years, at least. And we saw silver's mining activity deplete 1990 to 2005. For 15 years, the only way we survived in a modern technological society is we ate the above ground supply of silver down from 2 billion ounces to 500 million. 1.5 billion ounces was lost in those 15 years. And the only way we were able to survive is we had it above ground. We had stacked our silver, and we had to eat up that stack. But then China started at around 2000, but it takes a while to get a mine into production, even in China. And from 2006 to present day, we just produce more and more silver. The last few years it's been off somewhat, 3%, 2%, but we just did a rocket ship from about 500 million ounces to almost double that in that 2006 to 2020. So my point is, that it's not that predictable as far as what the demand can be over time. I mean, you could have extrapolated in 2000 after 10 years of silver depletion that trend's just like never going to end. But these things do end, so you have to be savvy. So when is it going to end? Soon. But David, you've been saying that for 10 years. No, Rob, I just gave myself a 10-year break with China. I really don't think we have more than about 3 more years maximum. I think you'll see silver, I don't know if it'll be as high as 30 by the end of this year, but I expect it to be higher than 20. I think in 2023, we will see $50 silver. And then depending on what happens to the financial system, collapse / reset / currency wars / hopefully no escalation in the physical war and cyber war, which we hardly ever talk about, which is the information war. I think you're going to see silver break out of the $50 move and up into the 100 or 200, who knows. I want to be practical. You're not going to get to $100 silver till you get to 30. And it's been a while since we've been there. But I know silver. And there's just nothing that moves in the ags like soybeans and silver. Once it gets momentum, every algorithm out there that's worth a damn that you paid at least $100 for the trading software is going to flash this buy silver thing. And you know what, Rob? You know it as well as I do what I'm about to say. Most people that love silver go overboard. Yeah. It's like when that algorithm says buy silver, I'm buying silver. I'm selling the car and buying more silver. Heck, I don't need a car. I'm getting a motorcycle, buy more. I'm trying to be funny.
Yeah,
but
there's a romance, no doubt about it. So it gets back to the question of why did I do that? There's a romance to it, and especially around here.
Yeah,
a lot of people were in the mines. So, so I guess let's kind of fast forward here. I got the outlook there. I think that's pretty positive outlook. I mean, not that I need to have a positive outlook, but it makes some sense to me. Nick Hodge did a chat of. To the moon. Well, let's start with 30. I think you kind of laid out a good case there and how we get there first and then move on. Let's get down to the supply chain here. A lot of these junior miners here in this room. It's been a real tough go for these guys. The exploration guys, there's no money around. How do you see this thing kind of unfolding year end and heading into next year?
Well, it's really tough at the bottom. Very few even stay around. And they get kicked around, and it's kind of a depressed mood. I mean, you could say that the silver junior mining industry is in a depression right now. Yeah. And the old adage is buy when there's blood in the streets applies. If you don't go overboard or expect too much and you diversify, every one of these companies has got potential. You just don't know exactly which one. We can, it's sort of my job to figure out which ones have a higher probability, but there's no guarantees. But no, it's when you're down in the mouth, feeling the worst, it's actually a time to buy when you're scared to do it. And when everybody's brother-in-law's, sister-in-law's, pet monkeys buying silver stocks, guess what? Sell them to them.
All right. So I guess give us a little insight on what you talked about in your chat today for those who missed it.
Yeah, well, first of all, I know everyone will be silver focused. And I kind of made a mistake, not at your conference, but a few years back, that my speech was pretty more much like some of the other speeches, right? Because I focused on silver. So this time I said, and in fact we talked about it before I made the final edits, I wanted to talk about the silver psyop, which is a kind of a takeoff on the psychology of silver investing, and why it was pitted against the cryptocurrency market. Then I went in the cryptocurrency market, which these are investors, primarily resource investors, but a lot of them know about the crypto world. So I went down that rabbit hole and showed them some things that I discovered about who is behind Bitcoin and how many ties they have to Hong Kong and this tether. And it's scary in a way. And then I did what I think was the more important big picture, and that's bail-ins. Everyone's familiar with the bailout of 2008, but a bail-in personally hits your bank account, and it's on the books. It's at law. It's a given. Whether or not it'll happen remains to be determined. I believe it will, and I feel I'd missed my calling if I hadn't got on stage and told everybody bail-ins are coming. Be prepared. So that's the gist of what I talked about, and then of course I gave a few personal anecdotes as I love to do and try to keep it kind of funny and real. But overall, it's like, hey, as that article that prompted me to talk about bail-ins again said, when your bank fails, don't walk, run.
Yeah. Well, David, how do people keep an eye on you?
I don't know, Rob, you tell me.
With their eyes?
With their eyes. Yeah, my main website's the best, themorganreport.com. And again, I appreciate what you've done for me. We've been friends for years, and we're both dog lovers. And there's more to life than the silver bark and the Silver Symposium. But damn it, I'm happy you've done it, and you've done it again. So congratulations, my friend.
David Morgan, appreciate you.